Hi all and welcome to this last Epoch video on my Druid Swarmblade build update. Someone was very interested in me getting this character to endgame and seeing how it went because I wasn't sure how it was going to progress. Before I go into that, I'd like to give an overview of the build, starting with the passive points. I do have a bit of sore throat. I apologise if I keep clearing my throat. It will be louder than my speech and I can only apologise for that. I am still a little bit ill from the illness I had at the beginning of this week. I will try and drink water to stop myself from clearing my throat. So apologies again. Let's see if we can get through this without too much noise. Oops, I pressed the wrong button on the wrong screen. There we go. So this is the Druid. So we started off obviously with the Primalist. We put 1 point in Primal Strength, 4 points into Natural Attunement, 5 points into Hunter's Restoration, 6 points into Survivor of the Pack, and then another 4 points into Natural Attunement, making our 20 points. We immediately went into Druid with 7 points into Chitinous Plating, 3 points into Claws of the Forest to unlock Focused Wrath for 5, which then unlocked Nightshade Fangs for 10. We then went into Rancor, excuse me, back into Claws of the Forest for the final 4 points there, and then 8 points into Fetid Resilience. From there we briefly dipped into Shaman to pick up Shamanic Infusion. Then we are currently working our way through 25 points into Beastmaster, which is 5 points into Ursine Strength, 5 points into Boarheart. From Boarheart we went 2 points into Tusk Warrior, and we are now working on our way through Porcine Constitution, and then we would normally go back for Ursine Strength, but as you can see I've already maxed that out. I may need to unspec some points in there for elsewhere, but I think I'm going to stay with them for the extra strength and the additional damage mitigation. Once we've finished in Beastmaster, we'll head back to Druid for some more points in that. Namely, we would get 7 points into Primal Shifter, 5 points into Reincarnation, and then finally 10 points into Hide Skin for level 100. That is the idea of the passive points. Skills wise, we'll start with Swarmblade. For Swarmblade, the way I'm doing this, we took 1 point into Viper's Call to unlock Serpent Strike in Swarmblade. We took 2 points into Slashing Spiral, which allowed us access to Neverending Drive. 2 points in that for Swarm's Fury, so we can switch between Swarmblade form and Bear form. Sorry, more drink. Back again to finish off Neverending Drive for 2 more points and 3 points into Plague of Locusts. From there we went up to Wasp Flight, 3 points into Death by 1,000 Wings, 1 point into Bloodlust Swarm, 1 point into Feverous Stings, and then will be 3 points into Grand Colony. The idea of this tree is to make our Locust Swarm really huge and to provide a ton of damage, which we then would switch into Werebear form. As we switch into Werebear form, we knock back and stun all our the mobs around us, and it also increases the duration of Swarmblade because that's how we have spec'd it, by taking 2 points into Territorial, 1 point into Enrage, and then 1 point into Barrage of the Swarm. From there we then went to 4 points for Ursine Heart to give us that endurance and endurance threshold, which is why we don't have it on our gear. Gear's coming up after the skills. We put 4 points into Invigoration for the extra health and rage gained on kill, so we don't lose that much rage. From there we put 2 points into Rip and Tear, 2 points into Dauntless, and then we end up with Intimidating Cry. So after we're using Rampage, we now Roar, which then activates our Warcry skill. And we also then put the rest of the points into Apex Predator, giving us more damage. The idea behind this is because we've got the Locust Swarm from Swarmblade on us whilst in werebear form. We then rampage, and then rampage increases that damage whilst we're rampaging. It does so much damage. Going back to our Swarmblade form and Viper's Call, we'll look at Serpent Strike. For Serpent Strike, we took 1 point into Curling Point to give us access to Constrictor, and then we put 3 point into Musrana to give us that poison chance and increased poison duration. We don't get, because Viper's Call doesn't take the base chance of poison or the base duration from Serpent Strike, we have to stack it on the skill tree a little bit just to help our Locust Swarm deal more damage. We then put 1 point into Poison Tipped. From there we're able to then open up Hydra Strikes, which gives us 1 point in Hydra Strikes, and we then take Gouging Spear, so we have a 100% chance to bleed from our Serpent Strike, which means there's more bleed stacks on the mobs, which then transfers into more damage for our swarm, our Locust Swarm in Swarmblade, and then into bear form. So it's all about stacking the bleed and the poisons to make that Locust Swarm bigger and more dot. From there we then went back and finished off Cull Point so things die quicker, and then we take 2 points into Hydra Strikes and then 3 points into Poison Tipped, and that finishes off Serpent Strike. So I'll end up with 5 points in Poison Tips, if you're wondering. Into our Warcry, which is activated by our Roar after rampaging. So the first thing we did with our Warcry is take Staggering Roar, which is here. We then put 1 point into Apprehend because we don't want people being knocked back. That knocks them back outside of our swarm, Locust Swarm range. So this now no longer knocks them back. Instead it pulls enemies towards us into our swarm and they die. Which is then we put 2 more points back into Staggering Roar, increasing that pullback distance. So from there we then put 1 point into Juggernaut, which makes us invulnerable. We put 1 point into Breath of Etera, which opens up Purging Shout. From there we put 2 more points into Breath of Etera. We then go up to put 5 points into Deep Roar, and then finally the rest of the points go into Debilitating Shout. All this means that effectively once we rampage, we roar, which activates our Warcry, loads of mobs are pulled in, we are purged, we are cleansed, and then they all get frailty for a little bit. So finally our final skill is Summon Spriggan. This provides healing for us by giving us a passive healing aura, and additionally gives us a tiny little bit of ranged DPS. So with the Spriggan, we first of all use it to buff ourselves by taking Aura of Life, 3 points in that to open up Aura of Loyalty and Aura of Kingship. But first of all we put 1 point into Aura of Loyalty and 1 point into Aura of Evasion to give us that dodge rating per attunement, which I don't know if this is worth it. It depends on how much attunement you stack on your gear, and we'll get to that in a moment. So after we've taken Evasion, we then go into Aura of Kingship. From there we put 4 points into Aura of Retribution to give us more crit chance. That's mainly for when we're a bear. And then from there we then start trying to keep our Spriggan alive. We put 2 points into Arboreal Vitality, which opens up Warding Bark. That gets maxed out at level 5. And then all the rest of the points are put into Arboreal Vitality to give it more life. It does die occasionally, mainly in boss fights, because it doesn't move from the AoEs the boss does, because it's quite stupid. So the AI for this particular mob is terrible. It doesn't move, it just stands there and range hits, and then it dies, and then you end up dying because you haven't got no healing, so you have to stand there and stand in its little circle to auto res it, so you don't have to switch to human form, res it, and then you can get back into your DPS cycle. So that's the passives and the skills. Let's look towards the gear. Now my character isn't geared correctly because I'm just not high enough level to drop the relevant gear. I'm also in solo self-found or solo account found, as last Epoch call it, because I don't have a group of people to play with or a group of friends to play with, so I am doing this solo. Press the right button, there we go. So this is the best gear I've got so far. I've literally just brought these Solarium Greaves. They only had about 15 forging potential. I thought I'd be fine with by slipping on a movement speed. The cooldown recovery speed was already there from the vendor, and unfortunately the increased movement speed ate the entire forging potential, so I wasn't able to do anything else with it. Ideally these boots would have increased movement speed prefix, attunement prefix, hybrid health, and then whatever res was needed to sort your resistances out. Unfortunately this is the first pair I have seen, so I grabbed them, and this is what we've ended up with. Helm, we are still using a Coleum helm, which gives us fire res. I've crafted it with attunement, necrotic resistance and poison resistance. I picked this new amulet up, this new bone amulet up earlier today when I was doing a couple of almost said riffs, monoliths. It's got a high fizz and necrotic resistance roll as the implicits, and then I put health, fizz resistance, void damage, and increased fizz damage. I'm not sure why the void damage is there. I think I just was thinking I was playing my void knight and hit the wrong button. So, oh well, lots of forging potential there anyway. This is our shield. This is where we get all our poison resistance from, which is why we're using it. It's the only reason we're using this. We put some block chance on there, increased fizz damage, some all elemental resistance, and some health. Our chest, this is still a fizz resist implicit Kolheim armor. It's got some vitality attunement, dodge rating, and elemental resists on there. More drink. As you can see, this is our axe, just a basic axe. It's not the correct axe, but again we are waiting for a different axe to appear so we can start using that. Excuse me. The ideal axe would be a Wingari axe with increased fizz, increased melee damage as the prefix, and then chance to blind and health gained on kill as the two suffixes. As for our belt, again, not sure what was going on here. I think this may have been crafted for my Void Knight, and I've just taken it and not realised the void damage is there. I'm not sure. Or it's dropped like that because of the increased hybrid health and the cooldown recovery. It shouldn't have chance to find poisons, and we don't do any void damage. This belt is absolutely pants and I need a new one. The prefixes should be additional potion slot and more HP from potions, increased fizz damage with a hybrid health suffix and an all elemental resistance on it. Depending on how your resistances fall, all the resistances mentioned are changeable depending on what you get on your gear. As for the rings, standard gold rings, this has got a 13% and the other side has got a 14%. This one's got attunement, strength, fire resistant, block chance and effectiveness, and this one has attunement, increased fizz damage, endurance threshold and physical resistance. Again, the two gold rings pretty standard for last Epoch because they've got the all elemental resistance implicits. Ideally, both rings would have attunement, strength, added health as a suffix, and then whichever resistances you are missing. Projections would indicate necrotic and void resistance based on the other gear we have. Gloves, ideally these gloves would be Crusader gloves, which is what mine are, so we've got some void resistance as the implicit with some armor. Again, these would be stacked with strength, attunement, hybrid health, and all elemental resistances, or resistances of which you would need based on your other gear. So that's all the gear. As for idols, I've been very unlucky. Most of the idols I have found have been absolutely trash. So I've got the best of what I've already found. So we've got chance to bleed and poison damage, which we do both, so that's kind of cool. This one has got some vitality and void resist, dodge rating and void resist, dodge rating poison resist, stun duration I don't stun, it's mainly there for the poison resistance. Although, because we have now max poison resistance from our shield, these are all pretty useless, but dodge rating is good, and stun duration. I do stun from some of my werebear stuff, so it's not that bad. Chance to bleed and void resistance, chance to bleed physical resistance, health and cool necrotic resistance, dodge rating useless, void resistance. Oh no, void resistance. I thought I said poison resist. Sorry. And then this is just a health idol, so 3% increased health and plus 12 health. So that's all the gear overview. Essentially, my stats now look like this. We are capped on all of our resistances. We've got 1000 armor, 14% chance to dodge, 29% armor, 25 chance stun avoidance. We've got 37% chance to block, and 34% effective block effectiveness. Stat wise, we've got 18 strength, 32 attunement, and 10 vitality, and we've got +1 dex intelligence from fully completing the campaign. And as you can see, we are level 70. So that is all the stuff. We are going to go run a monolith. We've only just unlocked Blood, Frost and Death. As you can see, I'm very early into my monolith stages. We're going to go down for these runes and see how we do. There we go. So immediately we switch into our Swarmblade form. I'll bring the map up. I'd prefer playing like this. We find a group of mobs and we drop our swarms. We then tap bleed, go into Swarmblade, go into bear form, and then charge. There's lag. Catch up in a minute, maybe, or not. Nope. Alright then, charge again. Nope. Again, lag. Get the thing. Oh, some shards. There we go. Right, there's the raw. So we switch back into Swarmblade. Drop the swarms again. We bleed the nearest mob. Transfer all that into locust swarm. Go back into bear form. And then we just kill stuff. Oh, press the wrong button. Quickly back in. Well, we've still got a bit of a swarm going, but we'll redo the cycle anyway. Oh, press the wrong button again. I'm very tired. Just wanted to get this video out. That's the dead end. You've got to be careful with your rampage. Don't want to be using it. You want to make sure you've got a nice big lineup. And hopefully there's some mobs that we can stun. It does put raw on cooldown. But we can still shift because we have recently roared, which is kind of cool. Oh, that's a shatter job. Go back into bear form. Kill this mob here. Boom, boom, boom. Go into rampage. I'm not sure why my rampage isn't working. Oh, there it goes. Just lag, I suppose. Not on my end. I've found that lag. Oh, human form. Not sure why we couldn't go into Swarmblade there. Seem to have a lot of lag today with last Epoch. Every other game I've played on my end has been absolutely fine. Why do I keep pressing the wrong button? That's fine. We've still got locust swarm going, so it's not too much of an issue. Right, there we go. Drop our nests. Swarm out. Glyph of Chaos. Back into that. Don't know what's dropped there because I can't see it. It's a ring. There we go. I'm not sure why that wasn't showing. Should be. I built the filter. Right, so now we do that. Do our shout. Go into stun mode. Get the swarm up and running again. Back into bear form, and hopefully we can get a charge off. Oh, I didn't angle it correctly. Puts everything on cooldown. There we go. There we go. That's better. Just waiting for Raw to come off cooldown. There it goes. Drop our nests. Bleed people while I wait for the shapeshift to come off cooldown. Into swarm form. Back into bear form. Got all our bugs following us. They'll catch up eventually. Nope, another exalt item. Right. Raw. It's a simple combo, and it does do a ton of damage. If you press the right buttons, it's even better. I'm not liking this run around and try and find a thing. It's one big problem I have with Last Epoch. The directions are as the crow flies, so as you spend more time than I really want to in the Monolith, I just want to get in, kill stuff and get out. Right, we're going to do it here so we can get our swarm up and running for what I seem to be is the boss fight, if this thing survives. The biggest problem is having enough mobs to survive to get a big enough swarm going. Half the time they don't survive. So you're just starting to ramp and all of a sudden everything's dead. There you go, see, all dead, the swarm's killed them. There we go. Normally I'd farm a little bit more stability, but we're 20 of 22, and we're still going, our swarm's still going, so I'll wander around a little bit till the swarm's stopped. Oh, I've got some more loot. A bit more gold. Alright, we're going to head back around here to pick up this gold. Go back into human form. Open our portal. Collect our rewards. Right, let me just sort out my gear. Stash all that. Oh, 4 this time. Nice. Buy those. Right, what have we got on that? Don't want that. Not playing a bow character. Nope, don't want that. We'll take that. For damage and health. No. 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 Yes. What else on this one? I hate using minions. That's got area skills, so we'll take that. And we'll shatter, 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 shatter. That goes in our box of uniques. I think I've already got one. Which one's the better one? That one's a better one. So that'll get sold. Let's shatter stuff. Just keep going till we run out of shatters. Last one. There we go. There's a shop. Sell that, get some 500 gold. Right, so that's how it operates, and it's also the reason why I'm going to stop playing this build. Geared correctly, with all the passives, etc. This character would do a absolute ton of damage. However, because of the way you need to shapeshift all the time, at this current level, the damage that the Locust Swarm puts out is actually too much to get a decent Locust Swarm going for the duration you need to get it to. Additionally, with the lag that Last Epoch seems to be suffering, I've not had it with any other game today. The switching into Werebear form and then rampaging doesn't seem to be working. Also, despite their patch notes of 0.9F, there has been 3 occasions today. Unfortunately, it didn't happen in this video, and I wasn't recording at the time. The bars are still randomly moving, and we still can't assign the bars on the shapeshift forms to where we want them. In summary, I won't be playing this build again. It's kind of done. It does work. I've proven it works. I just don't have the enthusiasm to push it any further in Last Epoch's current Monolith system. Compared to Path of Exile's map system and the Diablo 3 Greater Rift, Nephilim Rift bounty circle of material collecting for crafting, I find the Monolith system quite boring in its current state. Normally I would go full back on my Void Knight Erasure Strike, however Pox has just put out a Void Knight video and it looks really good. Mine is ridiculously mana heavy and I don't have plans to try and correct it. It's a build I like playing. I may do some more videos on that Void Knight. Other than that, we've got Diablo 4 open beta coming up in about 16 hours from the time of this recording, and I'm really looking forward to that. I don't know what the future holds for me and the relationship with Last Epoch. At the moment, I'll be going over to Diablo 4 over this weekend, and then we are close to Path of Exile's 3.21 release, so I have no idea what I'll be doing between now and then. I may just end up playing some other games. We will see. Thanks for watching. I hope you found this video helpful. I'll see you all Ravens in the next one.